Good morning, dear students. Let us start with the new chapter that is dusk. So, what do you mean by dusk? Dusk is the time in the evening when the sun has already gone down and it is nearly dark, not complete dark, nearly dark. So, it is evening time, okay? Evening time when the atmosphere is like the mixture of failing daylight and pale moonlight, okay? So that evening time you can refer to as dusk, or in other term you can say that twilight. This story is written by Saki. Saki is the pen name of H. Munro, Hector U. Munro. Why did he kept this pen name, that we don't know. So Hector U. Munro, better known by the pen name Saki, and also frequently as H. Munro, was a British writer whose witty, mischievous, and sometimes macabre stories satirize Edwardian society and culture. Means he used satire to show fault in a system. He is well known for the short stories writing. Short fiction was focused mostly on exposing the absurdity, means extremely unreasonable things about the Edwardian society in England, and many of his short works featured recurring heroes. Let us start with the story. Okay, have you ever tried to help a stranger? If yes, do you feel that you got cheated? That the stranger doesn't need any kind of help, but he was just showing off and you just went and helped him? So, in this story, you will get in the climax that what really happened. Okay, suppose a stranger tells you that he came to your town for the first time, left his wallet in his hotel room, and forgotten the name of his hotel. Would you sympathize with him? Okay, in the story, a stranger came from another town to your town, okay, and he just settled down in a hotel room. After keeping his bags or luggage, whatever you say, he went out to buy some things and he forgot the name of the hotel. Do you think is it possible? Do you do you try to console and show sympathy towards that stranger, or you will just think that, oh, he is lying, he is just trapping you for some other reason? So Norman Gottsby sat on a bench in the corner of Hyde Park with his back to a fenced area of a grass planted with bushes. It was dusk, about 30 minutes past 6 on an early March evening. The atmosphere was a mixture of failing daylight, pale moonlight, and light from the street lamps a little distance away. The place looked empty, although there were a few people walking silently through the half light or sitting alone here and there on the other benches. They looked like men and women who had lost the battle of life and had come out at this twilight, hoping. It seemed to hide their shabby clothes and their dropping shoulders from the curious eyes of their fellow men. So, this man, Norman Godsby, he just came to a park, okay, and in that park, it was evening time. Okay, evening time when people came in the park with the faces of people described that men and women who lost their battles means there is certain kinds of deception or they are not looking so happy. They just came here alone, moving here and there. Some are sitting to just have their me time. So, sitting alone here and there on the other benches, they look like men and women who lost the battle of life and had come out at this twilight hour, hoping they hide to hide their shabby clothes. Shabby clothes means the clothes in bad condition because of having been used so much, and their dropping shoulders that are bent because of weakness and tiredness because of their life, all the struggles. So just they came in the park to think about all such things. So this was all the thinking going on in Norman Godsby's mind, okay, about seeing the people in the park. Godsby's imagination pictured various things about these sad faced wanderers in the dusk, their poverty, their disappointments in life, their feeling of failure, and its possible causes. So his imagination, he picturized the faces, sad faces of all the peoples moving here and there in that park in the dusk time. On the bench by his side sat an elderly gentleman with the expression of a defeated person who refused to admit his defeat. So, on the side of the bench, there sat an old gentleman. On his face, there is an expression of defeated, that he got defeated in something, but he refused to admit that defeat. His clothes were not quite shabby, not that bad, but they were neither very expensive or new. As he got up to go, Godspy imagined him to be a man in whom no one was particularly interested either at home or outside. As his figure disappeared slowly into the shadows, his place on the bench was taken almost immediately by a young man. Now that old gentleman, he stood up to go, and his place is taken by a young man. Okay, young man came to sit there on that very place. Fairly well dressed, but not more cheerful than the man who had sat there before. So he was well dressed, but he was not that cheerful, not that happy, as if to emphasize the fact that he was deeply troubled and unhappy. From his face is all this was coming out. Okay, that from his face he was looking like that he is not that happy. He is deeply troubled by something. So that expression just came on his face, and Norman Godsby used to, he just predicted it out from his face. The newcomer uttered a curse or two and threw himself into the sea. So he cursed means the words he used for expressing his anger. Okay, and threw himself, he sat in that seat. You don't seem in a very good temper, said Godspy. So Godspy asked him that you don't seem in a very good temper, judging that he was expected to show some sympathy. Means Godspy thought that he should show some sympathy to him, means feeling of support or agreement. So he questioned him that you don't seem in a very good temper. So what happened with you? The young man turned to him with a look of great frankness. He turned to answer with a look of great frankness, means friendliness or the quality of being open and honest, with which put Godspy instantly on his guard. He became so careful and prepared for something difficult that a stranger is becoming too frank just with one question. You wouldn't be in a good temper if you were in the trouble I am in. He said, I have done the silliest thing I have ever done in my life. So he said that I have done a mistake, a silly mistake, the silliest thing I have ever done in my life. Yes, said Godspy without such enthusiasm. I came up to London this afternoon. Now, this young man is saying that what happened to him. I came up to London this afternoon intending to stay at the Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square, continued the young man. When I got there, I found that the hotel had been pulled down. The hotel is now destroyed completely. It is now shut down completely. Few weeks ago, and a cinema theater had been put up in its place. So in the place of the hotel, now a cinema theater is there. So in the hotel where the young man decided to settle down, now that has been pulled down. The hotel is pulled down or shut down completely for forever, and now there is a cinema theater. So the taxi driver recommended me to another hotel some way off. So the with the taxi he was traveling to go to that hotel, the driver suggested a new hotel. So some other place or some other street, okay, there only. I went there. I just sent a letter to my people giving them the address, and then I went out to buy some soap. So he said that when I reached the hotel, settled down there, okay, I wrote a letter to my people, maybe family members or friends, or to his company or something like that. Okay, he sent a letter giving them the address that where he stayed. He posted that letter, and then means he just gave that letter to them by post or submitted in the hotel so that they can post. And then I went out to buy some soap. I had forgotten to pack any. I hate using hotel soap. So he said that he hates using the soaps which are provided in the hotel. So he went out to buy some soap. Then I strolled. Strolled means to wander or to roam here and there in the streets. Okay, strolled about a bit, had a drink at a bar, and looked at the shops. And when I thought of turning my steps back to the hotel, I suddenly realized that I didn't remember its name. So, after completing all its shopping and after roaming here and there in the streets, when he thought of turning back or going back to the hotel, he suddenly realized that he didn't remember its name, hotel's name, or even what street it was in. So he forgotten all the things, that name of the hotel or in which street it lies. Now that's a nice situation for a fellow to be in who hasn't any friend or connections in London. Of course, I can write to my people. He said that, of course, for the address which I send them to my people, I can ask my people to send back the address, but it will take till tomorrow. Meanwhile, I am without any money. because whatever money he had carried for buying the soap, okay, that got over, and maybe extra money was there that is left in the hotel only. So I'm without any money, came out with only a shilling on me. Shilling is a British coin, okay, which went in buying the soap and the drink. So here I am wondering about, with two pence in my pocket and nowhere to go for the night. So he don't remember the name of the hotel or the street, and now money is not left much. So here he is just wondering about and nowhere to go for night. There was a meaningful pause. Meaningful pause means while talking, the someone stops, the person stops talking to express something without any words being spoken. Okay, so he took a meaningful pause. After that, after the story has been told, after telling his whole story to Norman Godsby, okay, he just paused for a while. I suppose you think I have made up an impossible cork and bull story. So he also said that to Norman Godsby, that I suppose you think that I have made a cock and bull story, a story that is unlikely to be true, but is used as an explanation or excuse. So you may be thinking that I am just making up a story, but it is not like that. Okay, said the young man, presently in a hurt voice. Not at all impossible, said Godsby carefully. I remember doing exactly the same thing once in a foreign country, and on that occasion there were two of us. So he was with his friend. Now Godsby is consoling him with his own story. So on that occasion there were two of us, which made it even more remarkable. Luckily we remembered that the hotel was on a short of canal, so when we came across the canal, we were able to make our ways back to the hotel. So the youth brightened a little on hearing this. In a foreign city, I wouldn't mind so much, he said. One could go to one's consul and get the required help from him. Here is one's own land. One is far more helpless in one if one gets into fix like this. So after listening the story of Norman Godsby, okay, so the young man got brightened for a little. In a foreign city, I wouldn't mind so much. So he said that in a foreign city, I wouldn't mind so much. One could go to one's consul, that a government official, and there they can get the required help from the government officials. Here in one's own land, one is far more helpless if one gets into an awkward situation like this, unless I can find some decent chap to swallow my story. Unless I could find some decent man or a boy and ask for some money so that he can lend me some money as an help. I seem likely to spend the night on the bank of Thames. I am glad, however, that you don't think the story totally improbable. So he said that I'm glad that I found a decent man who thinks that my story is not at all improbable. Means that other persons when hear such kinds of stories, they will think that the man is not saying true, or this story is not likely to be true. Okay, they will think that just to have some money, to extract some money from us, people are making certain kinds of stories. But you are the decent one. You actually understood my problem and thought that my story is not at all wrong. He threw a great deal of warmth into the last remark, as if perhaps to indicate his hope that Godspy himself might be such a decent chap. Of course, said Godspy slowly, the weak point of the story is that you can't show me the soap. So Godspy actually, he understood the problem, but he is not completely believing on that man. So the complete belief is not there, because he said that the young man said that he just came out to buy a soap and the soap was not visible in his hand. So Godspy questioned him. The weak point of your story is that you can't show me the soap. So he thought that Godspy has a certain kinds of belief that this man is not saying the true, or he is taking me into his trap to extract some money. So he is trying to be careful. He is talking to him, but he is not completely believing to him. So the young man sat forward hurriedly, felt rapidly in the pockets of his overcoat, and then jumped to his feet. So what happened? He is unable to find the cake of soap. What he said that he went out to take one, okay, because he doesn't like the hotel's soaps. So when Godspy asked that where is the soap, I can't see any. So he hurriedly or rapidly searched in his pockets of overcoats and pants, and there was no soap. And then the young man said, I must have lost it. He muttered angrily. He said angrily, I must have lost it. Oof. To lose a hotel as well as a cake of soap on the same afternoon suggests willful carelessness, said Godspy. So Godspy, now he understood what the young man is trying to do. So he said that to lose a hotel as well as the cake of soap on the same afternoon suggests a willful carelessness, means done on a purpose. But the young man did not wait to hear the end of his this remark given by Godspy. He hurried away down the path. He went back hurriedly. So he just walking back. He hurried away down the path, his head held high, with an expression of well practiced anger and pride. It was a pity, thought Godspy to himself, the bit about going out to buy one's own soap was the one convincing part of the whole story, and yet it was just that little detail that made him brought him to grief, means made him fail completely. If he had the brilliant forethought to provide himself a newly bought cake of soap, he would have been a genius in his particular profession. So now Godspy, he is thinking all such things, that if a man has a brilliant forethought to provide himself a newly bought soap because he doesn't like the hotel shop, this man should be a genius one in his particular profession. In that profession, genius certainty consists of an endless ability to take precautions. So, if he would have been such a genius person, he should have taken some precautions. So, precautions means to do something in advance in order to prevent certain kinds of problems. He wouldn't be in such kind of mess that he forgotten his hotel name also, and he just lost his soap also. So with these thoughts, Godspy rose to go. He stood up and he was about to go back to his home. As he did so, he gave a cry of surprise and anxiety. So when he stood to go back to his room, he got surprised. Okay, lying on the ground by the side of the bench was a small packet whose covering showed without the doubt that it was a newly bought cake of soap. So when he stood up to go back, what he found near the bench, that there was a packet, small packet dropped near the bench. Okay, and in that, with that packet, he can see that it is the cover of the newly bought soap. Not the cover, just the newly bought soap is lying there near the bench. It had obviously fallen out of the young man's overcoat pocket when he threw himself down on the seat. So now Norman Godsby thought, oh my god, I just thought all the wrong things about that person. I just concluded all the wrong things about that person, just like he is trying to trap me for extracting money out of me. But he was true. After seeing that cake of soap, okay, he thought that he was true. This cake of soap, hmm, it had obviously fallen out of the young man's overcoat pocket when he threw himself, when he sat down on the seat. In another moment, Godsby was rushing along the half dark path looking for a youthful figure in a light overcoat. So he just hurriedly wanted to find that young man. Okay, so he went back on the way where the young man went. So he just tried to follow him so that he can return to him the soap cake, okay, and could help him with some money. So Godsby was rushing along with the half dark path. He had nearly given up the search when he caught sight of the young man standing uncertainly on the border of the road. So he, after searching him for a while, he nearly gave up that, am I going to find that man? But he found, at the end he found that man. The man was standing at the border of the road, okay, evidently trying to decide. So clearly he can see that was trying to decide which way to go. When Godsby called him, he turned sharply with an expression of challenge. Okay, with an expression of challenge means that the young man was ready for an argument. The young man thought that he is just coming to ask certain questions to me, that why I lied to him. So he was ready for an argument. But for what Godsby was coming to him? To give him some soap or to help him out. He turned sharply with an expression of challenge. The important witness to the truth of your story has now appeared, said Godsby. So Godsby said to him, that important witness of your story, the cake of soap, has now appeared, holding out the cake of soap. It must have slipped out of your overcoat pocket when you sat down on the seat. So he said that it must have slipped down from your coat, okay, pockets when you sat down. So I saw it on the ground after you left. You must excuse my earlier disbelief, but appearances were really rather against you. And now, if the loan of sovereign is any good for you, so he just tried to help him with some money. The young man replied by taking the coin and hastily pocketing him. So he hurriedly kept the coin which he got from Godsby and kept it in his pocket. So here is my card with my address, continued Godspy. So Godspy gave him a card with his address, with his phone number, and said that you can return the money any day this week, and here is the soap, don't lose it again. It's been a good friend to you. Lucky thing you're finding it, said the youth, and then, as it if finding it difficult to speak, he uttered a word or two of thanks and hurried away in the direction of Night Bridge. So he hurriedly went in the direction of Night Bridge. Poor boy, he nearly broke down, said Godspy to himself. So Godspy to himself, after helping him out, okay, and the the young man went back. So he was saying to himself that poor boy, he nearly broke down as I disbelieved him earlier, but now when I found the witness, the cake of soap, I helped him out. So I'm not surprised. It must have been such a great relief to him. It's a lesson for me to not to be too clever in judging people by circumstances. So now he is giving himself some thought that I'm not surprised, it must have been such a great relief to him. So now, after helping him out, he was thinking that I did a great thing and he must be happy after getting little help from me. So he thought that he did such a great thing, okay, and he thought that this situation is a kind of lesson to him, that further he will not disbelieve with the circumstances or circumstantial evidence to the people. Okay, so he just thought that we should help people, I should help people, and I should not judge people with the circumstances. So as Godspy walked back to his seat in the park, he saw an elderly gentleman looking and feeling his hand beneath the bench and all around it. So when Godspy, after helping him out and the young man went, okay, so he came back to his seat where he was sitting earlier in the park. There he saw an elderly gentleman looking and feeling with his hand beneath the bench and all around it as if he is trying to search for something. So Godspy recognized him as the man who sat there before the young man, that elder man, old man. Okay, so he recognized that he was that man. So he just went there and asked him, have you lost anything, sir? So what he replied, yes, sir, a cake of soap. There's a little twist in the story at the end. So now that old man who was sitting before the young man, okay, in that very bench, he is now searching for the cake of soap. And what made up story that young man made, Godspy helped him because he found that cake of soap, and that cake of soap belonged to that old man, not to the young man. So what do you think Godspy is thinking of himself? So this was all the story. Generally, in H.H. Munro's stories, short stories, there are several twists and turns. And in this story also, when Godspy sat in the park looking at the people, he just found a man, okay, young man sitting on that bench. He was very depressed. So Godspy tried to help him out, and the young man tried to explain all his sufferings, that what he is going through. He has completely forgotten the name of his hotel, he lost all the monies and everything. So Godspy first he did not believe to him, okay, he did not believe to him because of the circumstances. But when he found the cake of soap, dropped near the bench. He believed that, and he tried to search for that young man to return him the soap and help him with some money. Okay, and when after helping him out, when he came back, Godspy came back to his bench to sit there. He found that an old man was there, okay, searching for something down the bench. Okay, then Godspy asked him, "What are you searching, sir?" Then he said, "A cake of soap." So that cake of soap belonged to that old man, and Godspy fall into the trap of that young man. Thank you from my side.